The end of the Second World War gave rise to new thinking for colonized people all over the world. There was a growing demand for fundamental changes affecting their lives and aspirations. Their agitation for freedom and self-determination started in a rather subdued form during the 1930s. The quest for self-determination suddenly received powerful impetus from the post-war mentality in both Europe and the colonies. It was the famous wind of change that started to blow, and in its wake, the wind swept away colonial rule in India, Pakistan, Indonesia, Egypt, Sudan, and Tunisia, among others. Elsewhere near our shores in Black Africa, the Mau Mau uprising in Kenya was another form of expressing this same rejection of foreign domination. Ghana, under the legendary Kwame Nkrumah Osagyefo IV, became independent in 1957.
Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever.
Followed by Guinea in 1958, Senegal and Nigeria in 1960. The Gambia counted among colonial territories in respect of which in 1951 the British government announced its broad lines of policy of promoting self-government within the Commonwealth by helping as rapidly as possible to build up in each territory the institution which its circumstances required. For the Gambia, constitutional advancement was very slow. The franchise was all along restricted to the colony area, comprising Bathurst, the capital, and the small adjoining Combo St. Mary division. A legislative council of some 23 members was developed with limited, essentially advisory powers.
So there was a very, very efficient line of communication between Bathurst here, the governor, to the Secretary of State for Colonies. Okay.
At Whitehall.
Yes, yes, at Whitehall. Of course, when the guys at Whitehall receive it, they will find a way for it to, extend to the right people at number 10 Downing and then up. Now, when you come in colonial rule, in history, we have a theory called the theory of the man on the spot. It's a very, very interesting theory. Because of the distance, okay, when they are posting the governors, they will tell them, the show is your show. Yeah. I take decisions, okay, which are in the interest of the British Empire. Okay. Yeah. That was the first advice they give them. Okay. So you, as the governor, you are the man on the spot. So the governors, they wielded, big executive powers. Okay. But the governor also had somebody called the colonial secretary. Yeah, like in Bathurst here, who was like, who handled all the correspondence. The chiefs, sending petitions, local people, And now the colonial, secretary, of course, had also like a secretariat. Okay. And indeed, the first thing they built when they came was a secretariat, to handle, the administrative aspect.
Out of the membership of the Legislative Council was formed the Executive Council of 12 members, including 3 ministers with portfolio. This again was not a collectively responsible government and fell far short of the cabinet system. A petition addressed to the governor at the time gave a succinct outline of the modest political developments in the Gambia in the following terms. The local political scene was itself rather confused and hazy. E.S. Small and his labor movement were on the decline, conceding the front stage to the Democratic Party of Reverend J.C. Faye, the Gambia Muslim Congress led by I.M. Gaba Jahumpa, and the United Party of P.S. Njai. All these 3 parties came into being around the time of the 1951 Constitution.
This was widespread, quite a widespread skepticism expressed that Gambia, because of our size, we were small in area, in population, also an enclave within Senegal, that we were not viable as an independent nation. But we disagreed, and this is why we issued our independence manifesto to make it quite clear that our principal policy as a party was to work for the independence of the country from the colonial power and to run our own affairs ourselves as an independent nation.
The last of the major Gambian political party to be created was the Protectorate People's Party, later renamed the People's Progressive Party (PPP). The PPP was formed in 1959 by people of protectorate origins residing in the colony, in response to the extension of the franchise to the protectorate by the 1960 Constitution. The 1960 Constitution for the first time divided the protectorate into electoral districts, and 12 representatives were to be chosen from these on the basis of universal adult suffrage as members of the new House of Representatives.
The era of exploration, the era of exportation, that's the transatlantic slave trade, and the era, of exploitation. So EEE. And now let me come to the first E. Like you said, they started as explorers. As early as 1456, Europeans arrived in the Gambia, and they never left until 1965.
Leadership of the newly formed PPP soon passed to Dauda Karabai Jawara, an Edinburgh-trained veterinarian who resigned his post as head of the department in the colonial administration. In the general election held in May 1962, the PPP beat its main contender, the United Party, by winning 17 out of the 25 protectorate seats and 1 of the colony seats, thereby giving David Jawara an absolute majority in Parliament, paving the path for the Gambia to accede to internal self-government in 1963. In 1964, another constitutional conference to determine the date for independence was held at Marlborough House in London, where all political parties were represented. The date was finally fixed for 18 February 1965.
February 1965, Independence Day, 50 years ago, is a day that I will always remember. That was my last year in high school at the St. Joseph's High School. Prior to independence, months before independence, there was a competition about the national anthem, and we knew about the competition. Our head principal, who was then Sister Benigna, and she taught us the national anthem. So we've been practicing to the count to months and weeks leading to the Independence Day, 18 February 1965. On Independence Day, a day that I will always remember, apart from learning the national anthem, because what we used to sing, not on Independence Day, but on what we used to call Empire Day, and that was Land of Hope and Glory, and also God Save the Queen. But we were all eager to learn the national anthem. So the flag raising ceremony was on the eve, the 17th of February, 1965. I didn't attend the flag raising ceremony, but we knew everything what was going on, and we went outside, and at midnight we heard the bells ringing. This was the Anglican Church. Also the Catholic Church bells were ringing, the Methodist Church, and then there were recitations from the Quran. People were reciting the Quran, praising God, and thanking God for the day. So we were all with my brothers. We had everything. We also had the sounds of all the cultural displays, the dancing and the merriment. The following morning, that was our day, the school children. It was the march past at the then McCarthy Square, which is now the July 22nd Square. My father had his violin, because he played the violin. He was a civil servant. My mother was the teacher. And my father said, okay, my ancestors are fullers. I should have the riti to play the national anthem on the riti. I'm going to play it on the violin. And he intoned the national anthem on the violin, and we all sang to the national anthem.
Among the preparations for marking the celebrations were the competition for a national anthem, a coat of arms, and a national flag. For the Gambia, our homeland, is the national anthem of Gambia. This song was chosen as the national anthem through an international competition before Gambia's independence. Virginia Julia Howe wrote the anthem, which was set to tune by her husband, Jeremy Frederick Howe. This national anthem is based on Fode Kaba Dumbuya, a traditional Mandinka song as played by the late Jalinyama Suso of Bakau. The coat of arms was designed by Mr. R. Potin, a surveyor working at the Department of Surveys. The national flag of the Gambia was designed by Pa Louis Tomasi.
My earliest recollection is that obviously there was an advert in the paper. I suspect the Gambia News Bulletin for competitors. The competition was open, and I remember my father taking possibly a ream of paper, A4 paper, and was designing. My father was very fond of playing pools And so we had our parlor draped with long sheets of paper glued together and that kind of thing. So I thought, oh, this is another futile exercise. Then he had a dictionary. This is very interesting. Now, in the center pages of that dictionary were flags of the nations of the world. You know, I think by all circumstances he was trying to be original. Red was for the sun, and blue was for the river, and green, which is the base of the flag, was for the land, agriculture particularly, etc., and everything connected with the land and the development of the land. So he explained, and as I said, I don't know who the judges were, but they found it acceptable, and they found it unique. He was presented with the award or the prize, which was, by the way, in those days, £50 sterling. I don't know how much that is nowadays, but at the time, it was good money.
On the eve of February 18, 1965, the British Union Jack was lowered for the last time, and the Gambian flag hoisted amid resounding fanfare and jubilation at the MacArthur Square in Banjul.
I remember very vividly the Governor General was there, and the Duke of Kent, who represented the Queen, was there, and all the cabinet ministers, and all citizens were invited on the occasion. The MacArthur Square was full to capacity. I think that was the only time I saw a crowd so big. It involved everybody. And the speeches were made, Independence Day speeches were made, and the Duke of Kent made a statement, and the Prime Minister made a statement. And the British flag was lowered, and the Gambian flag was hoisted for the first time in the history of this country on the 18th of February. I still remember that very vividly. It was a great occasion for us.
Years of independence. Women of the Gambia have been long participating in politics. It's a pity Gambian women were not educated during that era. But however, they played their own role because they were always side by side with men. They were the backbone of the political parties. They were, in fact, you and I know that politics in the colonial days, women were not even voting. But then as time went on, women started voting. But when you talk of the JC5s, the Gabaja Humpas, you talk of this Mr. Smalls, you talk of St. Clair Juve, you talk of Madame Jawara, and few other women. They were very strong, and their voice were very strong, and their support was very meaningful.
The Queen delegated the Duke and Duchess of Kent to present the constitutional instruments that handed over power to the Gambian people. The British had ruled the country for over 300 years, during which they built only one hospital and one secondary school.